Hey everyone, it's Wendy Ladle here, and as always, I do hope that this video finds you well. I'm jumping on here quickly today because I've had some questions come in about, well, Wendy, if you've been working with women with endometriosis for the past 8, 9 years, why would you suddenly be writing a children's book? And it's a great question, and it's funny. I kind of touched on it in some posts, mentioning how I've been journaling every morning, and I've been noticing certain kind of question marks come up about. So if why do women have to wait until they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s before they're addressing what I call the 5 Ps, the produce, products, property, people, and pass. And it tends to be the last two that tend to cause the most challenges because in our relationships with people and whatever has gone on in the past might be small trauma, large trauma, misfortunes, upsets, bereavements, all sorts of different things that might have happened in a child's early years. Why do we have to wait until there's a crisis point in the body or in the mind for a disease or depression or distress or upset? Why do we have to wait until that before we can then go back and look at what perhaps has started out in the early years, and hence why Ella was born. So Ella was born more out of frustration in the sense that I kept thinking, well, if we work with the most beautiful women you can ever imagine, who have this high degree of sensitivity, which ultimately has started when they were young, and they learn to swallow their emotions, push them down, almost kind of dislike their sensitivity, have it mocked, ridiculed, teased. So the human psyche learns to adapt to its environment. Perhaps that would have happened in their home environment, or perhaps that would have happened at school or with extended family or friends, whatever. The woman and women tend to then learn to try and disassociate from their sensitivity and their emotions. And that, of course, causes problems with the nervous system, the immune system, digestive system. And over a period of time, the body can only take so much. So it starts to show through symptoms. And I always use the analogy of a feather, a brick, and a truck. Initially, the body will start to kind of give you a little tickle, a little bit kind of pay attention, there's things not right. And of course, our body is, I've heard our body referred to as our subconscious. Our body is this obviously living organism that picks up and senses and pulls in the environment round about us. So if we get tickled by a feather, metaphorically speaking, and our body's kind of like trying to give us signs, we might just ignore them because we're so busy and we're wrapped up in our sensory feeling of being a good girl, people pleasing, all these things that we're conditioned to do. Then the body might throw a brick at you. There might be something that happens. You might fall ill. You might start get a stab in your abdomen. Suddenly your periods are heavier, etc., etc. And then ultimately, what tends to happen is when women reach out to us is when there is a truck hits you and you are floored and you just think, I can't go on like this anymore. Cysts, adenomyosis, thyroid issues, all these other symptoms start to show up, which I like to use the term as dis-ease. There's dis-ease in the body. There's a reason why your body is trying to communicate to you. And that's all, in my opinion, what dis-ease is. It's what's going on subconsciously. So hence why Ella was born. Now, Ella was an idea of taking kind of being inspired by the fact that a lot of women that we work with and we help become endo bosses feel that there's something wrong with them, feel that they're very different. I know myself in my own journey. I used to kind of think, I feel like an alien that's plopped from planet Zor onto Earth, and I think differently, and I feel differently, and I see differently. And I would hear all these statements and things of how I should be and what I should think and everything. And I just didn't feel that. And of course showed up in my body. It hit a pinnacle point when I was obviously, it was about, how many years ago was that now? 10, 11 years. And it took me a couple of years to figure out what was going on, why my body wasn't healing. But ultimately, after retraining in a different areas and reading and expanding my mind and just determined to find out the root cause, I managed to figure out and put the condition in remission. But it was really hard. It was really challenging emotionally, physically, spiritually. And this is why with Ella, if I can get, because what I found really helpful was learning to listen to myself, learning to tune into my instincts and my intuition. And this is what Ella's about. Through her journaling, it was through my journaling that I learned how to listen to myself and how to hear all the different parts and how to hear repeated misbehavior or mistreatment or toxicity that was around me, and allow myself to give myself permission either to step back or to take action or whatever was required. But it was through the journaling. And this is why with Ella, she goes on a journey where she starts off, you know, and beginning in a farm. And of course, she's an eaglet, but she's brought up by chickens, and she is mistreated by those mean animals in the mean farm. But she learns how, through journaling, how to listen to herself. She goes on a journey. She meets some lovely characters like Daisy the duck and Derek the dog, and ultimately learns to find her wings, find her voice, and to fly. So that's the essence behind Ella. I'm thinking, if we can do prevention rather than the cure, if we can educate, inspire, and inform, surely that's better than taking a soul and a spirit that has been beaten down by life and trying to kind of, because it takes time, that the work that I do, the work that we do as a team, it takes about 12 months minimum, you know, to really help a woman understand the connection to her body through produce, products, property, people, and past, and connect to her parts in a way to her authentic self, the her that was born into the world, the her that was very sensitive and perceptive, that absorbed everything in and around them. And it's through journaling, which is one of the 3 daily basics, obviously, that we encourage. I still do journaling to this day. I cannot imagine my life without a pen and a paper and journaling every morning as I wake. Even as I've been explaining recently, I've got a second puppy called Daisy, and we're up. I am up with her every couple of hours, taking her to do her business, and even with all the tiredness that comes with that, I understand if I don't listen to myself and all my various parts and all the what's going on and around me, because we're all bombarded now, then, you know, if I don't listen to me, how, you know, nobody else is going to listen to me. And this is what the essence is of this journey. So Ella is about encouraging children ages 6 to 10 to learn at the outset of how to listen to themselves. Also, how to kind of know what is acceptable behavior and what's not acceptable behavior. Because by the ages of sort of 7, 8, 9, children in the playground, some of them can be quite mean and say some horrible things. You get the really sensitive ones that start to withdraw. So if you're a parent or a grandparent or a teacher or a therapist and you're working with young children, the essence of the story is to start kind of opening up conversations about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable behavior by others, and also how they can support themselves emotionally. There's been some articles in the paper recently that the mental health crisis in Scotland has almost doubled. And how is that even possible with all the information that we have? It's because people are bombarded with so many different messages. And rather than coming back to themselves and finding out who they are uniquely, what they are bringing to the world, just as unique as each and every one of our fingerprints is, children, teenagers, adults are being pulled in all these different directions. So my aim is to work and target and aim for those younger children through the parents and the teachers and everything, to help encourage them to journal their thoughts and feelings, obviously keeping them safe and away from prying eyes, but to really start to get to know themselves younger. So when they hit the adolescence period, which brings huge change, perhaps that won't be quite so tumultuous and as devastating as it can be for some people, so that by the time they reach adulthood or even through their 20s, the 20s can be quite a challenging period as well, that they can really start introducing these tools and these habits to learn to listen to themselves. With all the pressure and noise there is out there in the world, there's never been a time like now to encourage our children, especially the super sensitive children, which is this book is written for. It's written in a kind of rhyme story. You hear how Ella can get upset and feel sad and down, but equally how she goes to her journal, she learns to listen to herself, and then she learns to find a way out of the situation that she's in, and ultimately, as the story says, learns to find her wings and fly. And that's ultimately, if my essence behind it is to help children earlier in life, not wait till their 30s, 40s, and 50s to learn their value and their worth and to listen to their intuition and instincts, but just start to plant seeds at a younger age with the support of parents and carers and grandparents and teachers and therapists. I've even got to put a glossary at the back. So, because again, opening up some conversations and words, like children are so sharp and so intelligent nowadays. But from it, when it comes to the emotional component, sometimes that can be the hardest, especially as I say, for teachers and parents, if they've not had good experiences themselves, how do you even start to broach the emotional component? So that is why I wrote Ella, and I hope that you relate to this and feel inspired by it. My ultimate aim is to get this book into the hands of all the libraries, all the schools, obviously all the parents' homes who have children 6 to 10. And again, even children's hospitals, maybe there's a child in hospital right now that just needs a little bit of inspiration and feeling of empowerment, because it's amazing what the body can do and the brain can do given the right information and environment. Continually see, so many beautiful women that we work with, incredible women, transform their body with the right information, education, and support. And of course, that's the key thing. But ultimately, our aim is to help women become self-sufficient, listen to themselves and into their intuition. And we're there to help cheerlead and encourage that whole process. And this is why, Ella, hopefully we can get this essence of what I'm doing here with Heal Endometriosis Naturally, to do a preventative element at the very start of a child's life rather than wait 20, 30, 40 years later. So I do hope you'll back this project. I do hope that the book, for me as a creative, it takes a lot of time and investment and money, obviously, to bring this to life. This is the one single proof that I have. I'd love for you to be a backer and make a pledge to this project. If you do, as a thank you, I will name you in the second edition. I'll have your name at the back as a big thanks. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. It's been such a joy creating this. It's really tapped into my inner child. And I hope even as an adult that it will tap into your inner child too. But until then, until the next time, bye.